Subscribe, hype, like, and donate with a super thanks donation in the comments section below for the unfiltered, unapologetic Sean's View End, your home for WWE news, rumors, and backstage chaos. This is where gossip gets exposed around the clock. Now, here's your host, the brash Sean's View End.
With WrestleMania in just about, 2 days, 48 hours away. It's Thursday as I'm recording this video. Remember, for more videos like this, click the bell, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Make sure that bell icon is filled in. Shit, the great thing about this channel is that I won't remove you, I won't revoke you, I won't delete you, I won't mute you, I won't silence you, I won't block you for agreeing, for disagreeing, or even agreeing to disagree. I won't do that here as long as you don't threaten me or my family or death threats. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start right here and right now. As the world saw last night, we are going to discuss breaking news on Vince McMahon. We got breaking news on Jade Cargill. We got breaking news on WrestleMania. But first, we got to kick it off with this one. Now, last night, Darby Allin became the AEW World Champion. Oh, and also, SummerSlam, breaking news. Will it be Obafemi Roman Reigns at this year's SummerSlam in the main event? All that and much more. All the exclusive coverage, all the details. We're going to unveil it and expose it and leak it right here for each and every one of you subscribe for more. Now, last night, as the world saw, Darby Allin became the brand new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And on paper, that sentence should read as one of the most feel-good moments in recent professional wrestling history. Darby Allin is one of the most unique and authentic performers in the entire industry. A man who has built his entire career on taking punishment that would end most people and getting back every single time. A man whose connection with a specific and deeply loyal section of the wrestling audience is as genuine as it gets. And last night, that man is now the AEW World Champion after defeating MJF. For one night, the reaction, well, it was enormous. Social media lit up, clips spread, the wrestling internet responded to a title change that generally nobody saw coming. And the next morning of that we're doing this video. And with it comes, according to sources, a very different tone and a very different conversation inside AEW. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what looked like a feel-good moment at 11 o'clock last night looked like a business problem by 9 o'clock this morning. And the speed of that shift is the story. Now, this is where the story stops being about wrestling and starts being about business. According to sources circulating in the wrestling niches, the wrestling circles, there is genuine already concern inside AEW, according to rumors and gossip, about the Darby Allin title win and what it means for the company's ratings trajectory heading into the weeks ahead. Also, the attendance. Now, let's understand the context around the concern. Again, AEW has been dealing with ratings pressure for an extended period. The viewership numbers have been a consistent topic of conversation both inside the company and in wrestling media. And according to sources, there was a calculation made heading into last night's title change. The hope was that the positives of putting the belt on Darby Allin, the surprise factor, the authentic reaction, the fresh energy would outweigh the negatives. The negatives being Darby Allin is a polarizing choice for the top of the card in the eyes of a specific segment of the wrestling audience and the broader entertainment media. Again, the negatives being, as I just said, but sources say that calculation, the hope that the positives outweigh the negatives, is now being seriously questioned inside AEW less than 24 hours after the title changed hands. The critics have been loud, the naysayers, well, they've been louder, and the online backlash, while not universal, has been significant enough to reportedly trigger internal conversations about whether this title move was the right decision at the right time. Because the ratings fear is only part of what is driving those conversations. The other part is the timing. And when you understand the timing, the entire story looks completely different. Breaking news on WrestleMania 42. Guys, this is why we cover the most elusive, the most in-depth, the most descriptive, the most exclusive. If you want that kind of coverage around the clock multiple times a day, click that subscribe button right now. Now, WrestleMania 42, the timing. And this is one of those ones that is generating the most heat in the wrestling circles right now. WrestleMania 42, as we all know, a couple of days away this weekend. 2 nights, Las Vegas, ESPN. The biggest show in professional wrestling. Every wrestling media outlet in the world is focused on WWE right now. Every wrestling fan with a social media account is talking about WrestleMania 42. And last night, right in the middle of all of that, AEW put the AEW World title on Darby Allin by defeating MJF in the main event. And what was, well, some say, many say, many agree, it was no doubt a squash, right? Well, last night, what we saw, now here is the theory that sources are being discussed openly in the wrestling circles. The Darby Allin AEW title win was timed deliberately to pull focus away from WrestleMania 42. weekend to give wrestling fans, particularly AEW fans, something to talk about that was not happening inside Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas this Saturday and Sunday. On the surface, that sounds smart in counter-programming. Create your own headline during the week when your competitor owns the conversation. But here is where that theory gets complicated. Sources say the internal conflict inside AEW right now is directly connected to the timing decision because the people who supported putting the title on Darby this weekend believed that counter-programming value justified the risk. And the people who are now pushing for a quick title change are arguing that the counter-programming strategy backfired, that instead of pulling focus away from WrestleMania 42, the Darby Allin win became a secondary story that got swallowed by the WrestleMania conversation almost immediately. And now, according to those same sources, those people who warned against the timing are pointing to the online backlash as evidence that the risk was not worth taking. Now, this story, it's moving fast, and with all of that is developing over in WWE, there is a different breaking story right now that connects directly back to something we have been covering all week. Again, is the AEW going to have Darby Allin have a very short stint, a short run as champion? Will the AEW be forced to strip Darby Allin of this title because of the backlash and because of, well, the confliction? But guys, Vince McMahon, we got breaking news on Vince McMahon and WrestleMania 42 creative, and this one's big. This one lands differently than everything else that we cover this morning because this is not a rumor about a title change. This is not speculation about a stage problem. This is a report about the man WWE has spent the last 2 years trying to erase from its public narrative and the reported influence on the biggest show that the company has produced since his departure. According to sources circulating in the wrestling circles this week, Vince McMahon is said to be instrumental in shaping elements of the WrestleMania 42 creative direction despite the significant leadership changes that have taken place inside WWE since his exit from the company. Now this, according to those in the know. Now, let's be very precise about what this means and what it does not mean. Sources are not saying Vince McMahon walked into WWE headquarters and sat down in a creative meeting. Sources are not saying he has any official role or capacity within the company. What sources are saying is that his influence, his creative fingerprints, his DNA, his decades of WrestleMania philosophy are reportedly present in the DNA of WrestleMania 42 in ways that people inside the company are now openly acknowledging. Think about what that actually means. Triple H has spent the better part of 2 years publicly and deliberately distancing himself from the Vince McMahon era of WWE creative. Every interview, every press conference, every creative decision that gets publicly discussed has been framed as a departure from the old way of doing things, a new era, a new philosophy, a new WWE. And now sources are saying that the biggest show of that era, the show Triple H has stalked and staked his entire creative reputation on, reportedly carries the influence of the man he has been distancing himself from. Sources say the reaction inside WWE when this story started circulating was immediate discomfort. But there is no clean way to respond to it. Acknowledging Vince's influence validates the report. Denying it opens up a different set of questions about what actually in those creative conversations heading into WrestleMania 42. Again, questions of what was actually in those creative conversations. And remember, this is the same week that Vince McMahon named appeared. Again, Vince McMahon's name appeared on Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame listing. The same week that Shane McMahon's WrestleMania involvement became a major topic of speculation. The McMahon family shadow that the WWE has been trying to step out of for 2 years is hanging over WrestleMania 42 weekend, whether the company wants it there or not. And reportedly, the people inside WWE who are most uncomfortable about that are the same people who have worked the hardest to move past it. And while that McMahon story is developing and unraveling right here and right now, there is a completely different WrestleMania 42 story breaking right now that has had the entire locker room talking because Jade Cargill just said something publicly that nobody expected or anticipated. Now, this one came out of nowhere, and it is exactly the kind of story that gets the wrestling world talking at the exact right moment. Jade Cargill has publicly stated that she wants Paul Heyman as her manager for a potential Intercontinental Women titles run. Now, read that back. Jade Cargill, Paul Heyman, Women's Intercontinental Championship. 3 things that have never been in the same sentence before, and now they are, because Jade Cargill put them there herself publicly this week, days before WrestleMania, days before she defends the WWE Women's title against Rhea Ripley. Paul Heyman has not publicly responded to Jade's statement, and sources say his response, or a lack of one, heading into WrestleMania 42 weekend is being watched very carefully by people inside WWE. Will we have not a Paul Heyman guy, but a Paul Heyman girl? And will that change the world? Either way, Jade Cargill made sure everyone was talking about her during WrestleMania 42, and that, regardless of what happens next, is exactly what she intended. Both of those stories are developing fast, but before we get into the next part of tonight, real quick, I need to talk about my day ones, my viewers, my channel's members, and my subscribers. But real quick, 20,000 of you hit the bell and turn on all notifications. Keep doing that. but we need to fix something right now. Go to your iPhone settings, scroll to YouTube, notifications, turn everything on. Then inside YouTube, profile picture, settings, notifications, turn it all on. For those Android users, settings, apps, YouTube, notification, I want you to turn everything on. Then inside YouTube, profile picture, settings, notification, turn it all on. It will take you 15 seconds, done. That way you will get all my notifications. And remember to always subscribe and click the bell anyways, just to make sure. Now, the strip or drop conversation of everything circulating right now, this is the one that matters the most. This is the main event. This is the main topic of the video. According to sources, there are conversations happening inside AEW about whether Darby Allin drops the title or is stripped of it is the very near future. We are not talking about a planned short reign with a defined endpoint weeks down the road or months. We are talking about a conversation reportedly happening right now about potentially ending this title reign before it builds any momentum at all. Now let's break down what those two options actually mean. Option one, Darby drops the title some 24 hours later or a week to 2 weeks later. A quickly booked rematch or title defense gets put together where Darby loses the AEW Championship in a way that protects him as much as possible given the circumstances. Sources say that this option preserves more creative flexibility because it keeps the loss as part of an ongoing story rather than an administrative decision. Option two, Darby Allin gets stripped, where the AEW comes up with some sort of angle, and this would not be far-fetched, where, oh, Darby Allin's injured, or Darby Allin's not 100%, or due to the backlash. Again, the title could be stripped and taken from him through a storyline or an administrative decision that removes it without a clean in-ring loss. Sources say that this option is being discussed as a possibility if the situation deteriorates quickly enough that a normal title defense cannot be arranged in the required time frame. Neither option is described by sources as inevitable. Neither option is described as the plan. Both options are described as the conversations that are reportedly happening because the internal concern about the backlash has reached a level that required those conversations to happen. And that, according to sources, is the most significant part of this story. Not that Darby is definitely losing the title, but that the conversation is happening at less than 24 hours after he won it. Now, here's the part that nobody's talking about, viewers, right? Because there is another side to this story that is equally significant, and it involves the people inside AEW who are pushing back against the strip or the drop conversation entirely. The case for keeping the title, the AEW World title, on Darby Allin. Now, this story has two sides, and the side that is not getting enough attention right now is the one that sources say represents a significant number of people inside AEW. For every voice inside that company reportedly pushing for a quick title change, there is reportedly another voice pushing back and hard. The argument being made by Darby supporters inside AEW, well, it's straightforward. Professional wrestling needs fresh. It needs unexpected. It needs moments that the audience cannot predict and cannot anticipate. And Darby Allin winning the AEW World Championship is exactly that kind of moment. Sources say a segment of the AEW locker room and creative team believes that reversing the decision this quickly would be far more damaging than the backlash itself. That stripping or immediately dropping a title sends a message to every performer on that roster that title changes can be reversed if enough people complain online. That fan backlash has more creative authority than people make decisions inside the company. And sources say that message, if sent, would have consequences inside AEW that go well beyond the Darby Allin situation. There is also the audience argument. Darby Allin has a specific and deeply loyal fan base, a fan base that has supported him through every single moment of his career. And according to sources, that fan base's reaction to a sudden title change or stripping him of the AEW World title would be significantly more damaging to AEW's relationship with its core audience than any mainstream media criticism of the original win. The conflict inside AEW right now, according to sources, is generally unresolved. There is no clear consensus. There is no decided outcome. There are two legitimate positions being argued by real people with real influences inside the company. And the decision that gets made in the first few days or in the next few days will reportedly define the creative decision and direction of AEW for the remainder of 2026. So what side wins? And more importantly, what does it mean for Darby Allin either way? Well, let's zoom in and look at the full title picture here. Darby Allin won the AEW World title last night. Within 24 hours, the story became about whether he keeps it. Okay, more about whether he keeps it. AEW's counter-programming strategy reportedly backfired in the middle of WrestleMania 42 week. Vince McMahon's shadow was back over the biggest show of the year, and Jade Cargill just dropped a public statement that has the entire WWE locker room taking and talking heading into the weekend. Every single one of those stories is connected by the same thread. Professional wrestling in 2026 moves at a speed that the creative decisions made weeks or months in advance cannot always keep up with. The internet reacts insanely and instantly. The conversation shifts overnight, and companies that were instantly confident in a decision on Monday can find themselves reconsidering it by Tuesday morning. That is the world that Darby Allin won the world title in last night. This is the world Vince McMahon's influence is being discussed this week, and that is the world that Jade Cargill is navigating one perfectly timed public statement. Sources say the decision that gets made inside both WWE and AEW in the next 48 hours will define the direction of both companies for the rest of 2026. As you can see, WrestleMania 42 is this weekend. The AEW title situation is unresolved. The McMahon conversation is not going away. Every single one of those stories have an ending coming very soon, and Sean Entertainment will be here for all of them. 3 questions, because this is all about you. Because without you, there is no Sean View. You guys are the foundation. You guys are the bread and butter of the show. You guys are the pulse of what we do. Remember to become a channel member today to help save and secure the future of this website. With 3 uploads a day around the clock, I will never stop for each and every one of you. 3 questions tonight. Should AEW keep the AEW World title on Darby Allin or reverse the decision immediately? Is Vince McMahon's creative influence on WrestleMania 42 a problem for Triple H, or does it not matter as long as the show delivers? And would you watch a Jade Cargill and Paul Heyman pairing? Yes or no? Comments right now. I will be reading every single one of them. And while you're down there, if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button. Full WrestleMania 42 coverage all weekend long. You do not want to miss a single video. Everything changes this weekend. Darby Allin either starts building a championship reign that justifies the risk that AEW took last night, or he loses that title before most people even have a time to process that he won it. 3 stories, 3 potential endings, all of them happening this weekend. Your thoughts, your comments, your opinions. Sean's View Entertainment will have you covered every single time, all across the way. And guys, let me tell you, we are just getting started. Subscribe.